All right, fellow babies, thanks for joining us this week on SIFTD.net on the Pachter Factor. Hope you remember, $50 a year. If you're not, you can join for a little more, but you can pay monthly, $5 a month, and just join to watch Pachter Factor, if nothing else. If you're not a member, I hope you're watching us on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. This week's first question from SIFTD, from Suburban Samurai. Does Nintendo intentionally constrain supply to create the illusion of high demand for its products with its shareholders? Is there another explanation for Nintendo's frequent inability to satisfy demand for products like the NES Classic? No. The explanation is they blew it and they misjudged how many people wanted one. I don't think the NES Classic cost very much. I mean, it was like $60 retail. So probably only cost like $20 to make. I think they genuinely just thought it was a gimmick collectible and didn't realize that many people wanted one. It's looking to me like they made just a few 100,000. I mean, I have still not seen one at retail. I have as yet to meet somebody who actually bought one. So no, I'm surprised here we are months after the thing launched and I still haven't seen one at retail. So no, I think that was they just blew it. I mean, I don't think there's any explanation other than they misjudged. As far as intentionally constraining supply, when you make a device that costs a couple $100, like the Switch, you can't overproduce too many. So if you make 1 million units, for $200 a piece, that's $200 million. I mean, if you misjudge by 1 million units, you're out $200 million. So there's no way, Nintendo's going to make 10 million Switches at launch. There's just no chance. They've said 2 million. If demand is 2 million, then they're fine. If demand is 1 million, they'll be fine because they just won't make that many more until they sell the second million. If demand is 10 million, then that's a high-class problem and they'll step up production and they'll satisfy demand. That's what we saw with the Wii. If you roll back to when the Wii launched, I think that first year they sold 14 million. The second year they sold 19 million. And they would have sold 19 million the first year if they had made them. So they underproduced by 5 million, but that was the best-selling console in Nintendo's history. So again, you asked about, creating an illusion for its shareholders. No, they're actually doing their shareholders a favor by not overproducing anything. They have to be prudent and they have to underproduce to be sure that they don't make a mistake. And given their history with the GameCube and the Wii U, they can't afford to make a mistake on hardware. So NES Classic was just a dumb mistake. That one for $20, they probably could have made 1 million. But no, on the Switch, I think actually part of the reason they're launching it in March is to not have demand be too high. It's not Christmas. You're not going to have any gift givers coming to the store. It's only going to be Nintendo fanboys. 2 million at launch should be plenty. Should get them through the first couple of months. And they're going to know after a week or two if they need to step up production or if they can keep with their normal production plan. My guess is they're going to plan to make 500,000 a month. So they'll make 2 million at launch, 500,000 a month thereafter, sell 6 million the next 12 months. If demand is higher, they can jack that up to 750,000 a month or 1 million a month if they need to. But no reason to overproduce at $200 a cost per unit because they don't want to throw them in a landfill. So I totally get it. I think they actually managed the supply chain generally pretty well. And they just made a mistake on the NES Classic because I think they thought it was a gimmick and it turned out to have that nostalgia value where everybody who ever had a Nintendo system wanted one. I still want one too. Next question from SIFTD, from Brave Indian. Out of all the second-party developers, which do you think is likely to go third-party like Insomniac did? Yeah, honestly, I think the answer to your question is that's a dying breed. I don't think there are very many second-party developers. I think that seeing what Sony did with Media Molecule and actually seeing Insomniac leave, I think that just firms up that the first parties want to own the developers who make their core games. So no, I think Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo buy up all the guys who make games for them or already have, and I think Insomniac was kind of the last of a dying breed. I'm interested. Ask again or post on Twitter if you can name a bunch of second-party studios, because I really can't think of any. Got our next question from SIFTD.net. Deep Space, a very clever name. I assume your name is Deep. I like it. Reports are saying no one made money on VR in 2016. How will PlayStation VR, Oculus, HTC Vive, and third-party developers adapt to make the segment profitable? It's hard to make money on any of this. I mean, the hardware is prohibitively expensive. Nobody's going to make software for it until there's a big installed base of hardware. PlayStation VR, which I have and I think is immensely entertaining, is still not a big installed base. So it's kind of chicken and egg. I mean, until you have 10 million units out there, it's not going to make a lot of sense for a third party to make software for it. And, you know, Sony, to their credit, has put a lot of money into software for PlayStation VR. It's like, who wants to be in this business? You know, if all it does is buy you a lawsuit. So I think the answer is just be patient. It'll take 4 or 5 years before we have a big installed base, well, of all of them. And I think the best solution would be if we had a uniform standard, you know, if everybody was kind of using the same thing. I think that, you know, PlayStation 4 Pro is probably a better device to attach your PlayStation VR to. I think Xbox One Scorpio will be a better device and possibly will work with Oculus or HTC Vive. If that happens, then I think you'll see a bigger installed base in a couple of years. And again, if publishers can make virtual reality game experiences that work on multiple platforms, then you're going to get better content. But it's chicken and egg. You need a lot of hardware to drive the software, you know, green light decision. You need a lot of software to make it worth it as a consumer to buy the hardware. So we just got to let this kind of iterate. And fortunately, Sony has put a lot into it. Facebook has deep pockets. You know, HTC Vive has deep pockets and partners with Valve. So you're probably going to get great software from those guys. Give it time. And when you get, there's got to be a killer app. That's going to happen. We're going to get this breakthrough app that everybody's going to talk about. That's when I think it really works, but not 2017, probably 2019, 2020. Okay, our last question this week from Sifted, from Surf Spider. In South Africa, digital games sold on Xbox and PlayStation are sometimes more expensive than physical copies. That's not fair. This appears to be the case in some other territories as well. If the industry loses money on used game sales and people loaning games to friends, why is pricing like this? There's a couple of concepts going on. There's a retail concept called minimum advertised price. And what it says is that a retailer who breaks pricing, who prices below the minimum advertised price, isn't eligible for cooperative marketing dollars. So the advertised price has to be $59.99. So the PlayStation and Xbox, that's US dollars. I don't know the price in Rand in South Africa, I apologize. But the PlayStation and Xbox stores have to sell it at the minimum advertised price or higher. So $59.99 in the US is the price. There are retailers who will occasionally break price. It's more prevalent outside the US. So the UK is the most notorious country for breaking price. And you get chains like Sainsbury's who will discount FIFA from normal, I think is £40 to 25 all the time. But the PlayStation store and the Xbox store will be £40. In South Africa, I'm sure that's the same case, that you get retailers who are trying to do loss leader pricing, and they're discounting below their cost just to get you into the store for the window where there's minimum advertised price. Now the other problem is the digital copy essentially is being sold to you by the publisher. Even though Microsoft and Sony are the storefront, they're the retailer, that's an Electronic Arts game you're buying, and EA is setting the price, and that's their prerogative. They'll sell it for 20% less than that price to the retailer. So if the price is 60 in the US, 48 retail. The retailer, if he doesn't want vendor allowance dollars, cooperative marketing dollars, he can discount below 48 if he chooses to, but the digital stores cannot. So you're going to get aberrant pricing of physical in stores because the retailers are dumb and they're trying to give copies away. We just had in the US, GameStop have a terrible holiday. And GameStop told us that their holiday sales in November were down 30%. Their holiday sales in December were down double digit, but not 30, better, 12 or 15 or something. Yeah, 15. And the reason that November was down, they told me, is that there were other retailers, not GameStop, who discounted games down to $30 and $40 over Black Friday weekend. Now, interestingly, GameStop gave us guidance on the Tuesday, I believe, before the Black Friday weekend. And so that was November 22nd or something. All the way into November, 3 weeks into November, they didn't realize their November would be down 30%. And the reason was they got destroyed that weekend because everybody else was selling games for $30 and $40 and GameStop held pricing at 60. And consumers figured that out and didn't buy at GameStop that weekend. So they got killed and the digital stores were 60. So, on the one hand, GameStop is the friend of the publisher by keeping pricing high. The publishers don't want you to be trained to buy their games for $40. They want you to pay 60. They don't want you to perceive the value of the game to be only $40 or you'll never pay 60. And the retailers who discount are not the friend of the publisher, but the publishers cannot tell retailers what to charge in most countries. They are not allowed to dictate price. My concept of minimum advertised price only applies if the retailer receives something in exchange, which is cooperative marketing dollars. So the publisher will say, here's $2 or $3 per copy of the game you order. We will fund advertising of our game and you can put it in the newspaper or put a banner in the window or a point of sale display. And in exchange for accepting a $2 or $3 discount, you agree not to discount the game below the minimum advertised $60. That's the one concept. The second concept is if the publisher discounts the game themselves to any retailer, there's a concept called most favored nations. If you discount to one, you have to discount to all. So if Electronic Arts says to GameStop, we'll let you sell FIFA for $40, we'll sell it to you for 32 instead of 60 and 48, they have to sell it for 32 to everybody. So if that's the case, you will see the game discounted on the Microsoft Store from 60 down to 40. So the way I know if a discount is being funded by the retailer instead of the publisher, I go to the PlayStation and Xbox stores and look at the price. And if it's full price, I know the retailer's eating it. If it's discounted across the board, then I ask myself, why is the publisher discounting? It might be because the game is crappy and nobody wants to buy it, and they made too many copies and it wouldn't sell. So that's the case with games that flop, like last year's Tony Hawk, or 2 years ago, or Guitar Hero, that just didn't sell well, so they discounted them and got rid of them. But as it happens, and Shane and I were talking about this before we started taping, Titanfall is not that game. We have not seen Titanfall discounted by the publisher for any meaningful period of time. Yes, over Black Friday weekend, but not since, which tells me the game is selling okay. It's a high quality game, and God bless you, Vince Zampella. I think it's going to sell plenty of units because I think gamers are going to figure out it's the best game that came out this past holiday and they want to play it. So that game held full pricing through holiday, which tells me retailers didn't panic and the publisher did not panic. And even though we saw, that game, Call of Duty, FIFA discounted to $30 and $40 over Black Friday weekend, it wasn't consistent and it wasn't discounted online. So I hope that answers your question, but the other part of your question about used game sales hurting new, I think the publishers would love all games to be sold digitally because they get to keep all the profit and there is no used game. The truth is that you have to go to retail to buy your console. I mean, it's physical, whether you buy it at Amazon or not. And retailers are really good at promoting games. So I think the publishers value the retail, the retail experience. They value retailers as partners to promote their games. They value the knowledge at a retailer. I know a lot of you guys are watching going, oh, the people at my local GameStop are dumb shits. Take my word for it. The guys at your local GameStop are a lot smarter than the people at your local Walmart or Costco. So, actually my experience is the Target people are very good too. Many people at Best Buy are very good, but I still think the GameStop guys across the board are the most knowledgeable about games. And I go in all the time and talk up GameStop clerks about games that I'm not sure about. And not only do they read the same articles that I can read, but they talk to people who come in and they're like, we're hearing this game is a lot better than the reviews. I heard that at GameStop about Destiny, when Destiny got 75s. So I'm kind of buying it. That's it. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor this week on SIFTD.net. If you sign up for a SIFTD.net subscription, we'll enter you in a drawing for a loot crate. You got a high chance of winning. So please think about signing up. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's still not too late to sign up. Thanks again for joining us. See you next week, fellow babies. But it's scary.
Oh, that little kitchen demo?
It's scary.
It's really scary.
Yeah, it really gets you. Like,
oh, yeah.
Everybody that's done it, I've had like 10 people here now, they jump.
You're talking about the one where you're just sitting in the chair?
Yeah. And it's great.
Oh, it scares you. Yeah.
Even though I know it's jumping out of your ship, but it's still
You can't
real.
help it.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good.